Yeah. What is happening here? It's slow here. We'll see. I may have to change my provider, okay? If you tell me. Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Param Param Om. Namaste. We have seen the first verse. They call mantra. We in the previous class, by whom willed and direct does the mind light on its subjects? By whom commanded does prana the first move? By whose will do men speak this speech? What intelligence directs the eye and the ear? Is this the latest version that you sent to me or the previous one?
I think it's the previous one.
Okay. I was confused. Because I thought I saved the last one and I canceled the previous one. Let me see here.
I should share this with Mark, huh? And Sylvia. Do you want me to read it?
Oh, yes, please. Let's do that, not to waste more time.
The disciple asked, by whose will directed does the mind proceed to its object? At whose command does the prana, the foremost, do its duty? At whose will do men utter speech? Who is the God that directs the eyes and ears?
Okay, that was the mantra number one. It's very famous. As we know, what we experience to be life, conscious life, is a mixture of the spirit and matter. Of course, the mantra is referring to that spirit, that principle, conscious existence principle, the spirit, without which there is no addition available on which Maya can project this apparent reality. So it's a very short, simple Upanishad, but very profound. The first mantra refers to a very qualified student present his most profound question a disciple may have. And then the Upanishad begins with the mantra 2, which is the answer. Now we have seen this the number 1. We have seen some definitions now of what Swami Paramarthananda compress or summarize as OMACT. So what is this universe? What is this material subtle universe? Is that which contains OMACT? Okay, it means to say it is always objectifiable. It's something that is available as an object of knowledge, perception. It is material, and then we looked into the definition of that which is material. It is changing, as we know, and it is impermanent. It appears. All the configurations, they appear and disappear. Therefore, it is changing. It is temporary. Temporary is the light one, it's bound by time, it's continuously changing, it is material, and it's defined by qualities and attributes. No? So these are the features of the world as we know it. No? Okay. Well, I think we stopped more or less at that point last class, right? Or not? Or we went farther?
We were at the top of page 38. This you can extend to the sense organs also.
Okay, okay. Good. Okay, therefore, there is it's everything in Nietzsche, being an object available for knowledge, experience. It's either an object physical or subtle, meaning to say subtle matter or dense matter. It is defined by its attributes, and it's changing, and it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It appears and disappears. So that is the fundamental nature of this world. And this is important for us because later on, Swami Paramarthananda is going to define the other factor we see, what we call the universe or the world as we experience it, which is the opposite of all these features of the world. So the features of consciousness are going to be presented just as the opposite of all of that. Okay, it's not bound by time, it has no attributes, it does not change, and so on and so forth. And here he says, the body lasts only for one birth, and therefore, what's the conclusion? Body is inert because it has got those same 5 features of the entire world we perceive through this body. So this is an important point because we perceive this world of anatima, matter/energy, through the body-mind. And we make the common mistake of believing subconsciously that the body mind is real, is the subject, and everything I perceive through this instrument is object. It's within those 5 features of the anatima world, but it's not. The body mind is just like a pair of glasses through which I can see the text, okay? But I can objectify my pair of glasses. The same way we need to learn to objectify our body-mind. The body is a little easier for us to objectify. The mind is a little bit more subtle, and there lies most of the confusion, this confusion between mind, which changes, which is temporary, okay, which is defined for what it knows and does not know, the attributes, and so on. So the purpose of Vedanta is to bring us to the subtlety of inquiry or discrimination, viveka, to discriminate the mind from consciousness or consciousness from the mind. So those are the 5 features of the anatima world. It is inert, it's matter/energy. And the sense organs are not different from that. The mind also is subtle matter, as we know. No? In short, the body-mind sense complex is the same anatima, inert instrument by which we experience the other objects around us. It's very interesting because we have an instrument that is an instrument, but without which I cannot experience all other objects. So I have my most fundamental object, my most fundamental instrument of knowledge, which is the body-mind sense complex, and then I want to see and touch and explore the world. And it's so easy to take this basic, fundamental instrument as the absolute reality, as the Atma, as the self, that therefore the confusion between the mind and consciousness. We need to understand that very clearly, that the mind is just matter. It is insentient or inert. There is only one principle which by nature is sentient, which is conscious existence. Yeah? So if the physical body dies, what happens to the sentience that was there enlivening the body? No? What the conclusion? There must be some principle which lends life to the body. So we commonly say that consciousness enlivens the body directly, because the consciousness somehow is the only spirit that makes the body dance, okay, and move, and experience, and know, and so on. But that takes us to a certain question. If consciousness is all pervasive, so what is this deal of the body dying? The body should not die, because if consciousness pervades everything, is consciousness that's lending life to the body. So what happens at a certain point, that the body is said to be dead, and then take to the burning ground or whatever. So it's the consciousness, it pervades everything, but it needs a subtle instrument, which is the subtle body, or in this analysis here is the prana. The prana is what is there, but the prana is inert by itself, as we're going to see in the text. Okay, so the subtle body is subtle, inert matter. Okay, it's very difficult to imagine that the mind and the subtle body and the prana is matter. Okay, it is inert, it's sentient. So where does this consciousness lies? Where is the place of this consciousness? Okay, so where it comes from, and if it's not the mind, if it's not the pranas, the intelligent design pranas that appear to keep the body alive through all its functions, if its prana is not that, if the mind is not that, so what is this consciousness that makes the body sentient? So the sentience is not due to the physical body, the pranas, and much less is not inherent to the physical body. There is another principle that somehow lends sentience to the subtle body, the mind, the pranas, the organs of the five sense organs, and so on. Everything is enlivened by that, but there are some steps. You understand? It has to be landed to the subtle body, and then the subtle body distributes that principle to all its functions. Okay, and then all those functions are being blessed by consciousness, but not directly. And then if it's all pervasive and it's limitless, so why it needs an instrument to enliven the physical body? So don't ask us. So that's how it's designed. Maya is the one who has designed all of that, Maya Ishwara, and consciousness requires certain energy, certain principles, to make the physical body to appear alive, to make this miracle of life, as often we hear. What is this principle? Can it be a physical material principle? Is the principle does have also OMACT, OMCT. So it is an object as well. Can we objectify this spiritual principle that enlivens the body-mind sense complex? Can we objectify this? The scriptures say no, you cannot see it objectively. Okay, it's not within the field of object. Is it a subtle energy or subtle, because a lot of people believe that consciousness is energy. Okay, so the most common mistake. Consciousness is a form of energy. No, energy is a byproduct of Maya, okay, in association with the Rajoguna and all other gunas. So it does not have any materiality, no? And it's not changing all the time. The A goes to, I forgot the A.
Attributes.
Yeah, it's free of attributes, no? So when we say that it cannot be objectified, it means to say that it does not have any attribute. Attribute is what makes a thing a thing. If it's free from attributes, and then how are you going to objectify it? There's nothing that can define consciousness. When we talk about consciousness as the only reality that lends sentience to the body-mind-sense complex, we say Satchitananda is its nature, conscious existence of non-dual nature, you know? And then it is temporary, and the C goes to, please, you guys have good memory.
Changing.
Nirvikara. So it's the world is changing all the time. Consciousness is not changing. Okay, so we have to put a negative word. How you say? At the beginning of any one of these, to deny objectivity, materiality, and attributes, and the changing nature of the phenomenal world, and the temporary nature. So we just have to say what's consciousness is just not this, not this, not this, not this, not this. It's very simple. That's consciousness. So will you, when I say OMACT, will you understand and shake your head? So if it is a material principle, it will also have OMACT. So we are advanced Vedantins. We know that consciousness is totally is Satya, the only reality. None of these things which are inherent to the nature of Mithya applies to Satya. Satya is just the light of conscious existence in which Maya plays with. Therefore, you cannot bless the body. You know? Anything that is a byproduct of Maya cannot really be self-contained contained with consciousness, and existence. So anything of Mithya will never bless the body with the miracle of life. Oh, but there is artificial intelligence maybe now. No. Those are robots, cyborgs, or anything like that. There is only one principle, and that is going to be addressed here as God, There must be a non-material, and then he says a spiritual principle which makes the insentient body-mind-sense a sentient conscious principle. The student wants to know what is this invisible, most subtle, unchanging, akarta, and principle which makes the body alive and sentient. And because it is sacred spiritual principle, we use the expression as God, Deva. In the mantra, it says Deva, Kayu Deva. Look at the fourth line of this mantra. What is that mysterious, invisible, sacred principle, spiritual principle, because of which the visible body is working? As thought, it's not material. It is material, but it is unlike the status in the Marina Beach. I have already told you, in the Marina Beach, Gandhi statue is there. So he brings this example that there is a beautiful statues of. Do you guys know Marina Beach? If it is in Mumbai or where it is, or So there is a sculpture or statue of Gandhi there. He has his stick and everything, but the poor thing is not blessed with consciousness. Therefore, the birds go there and they poop upon him, and he has a stick and he cannot do anything about that. You know, when he was really blessed by consciousness, he would just chase away the crowds. Something is missing. What is missing when the body is declared dead? Okay, it is our true nature, existence, consciousness, the spiritual principle which enlivens the body. So let's look at the mantra. Propelled, activated, impelled, enlivened by which spiritual principle? So how do you translate the word spiritual? I have told you, take it in the right spirit. Spiritual means no material. And then people can challenge you and say, well, okay, but energy is also non-material. And then Vedanta begins a discussion or a debate upon that. Oh, I forgot to change my view here. And then Vedanta begins a discussion on what is matter, what is energy, and what is the difference between matter and energy and the spirit. No? The spirit means no material. All of our conventional scientific instruments on the modern scientific science, they are designed to study material things. And material things, they are not really that solid as it seems. We know that when we start looking at matter more closely through this instrument, we see that there is a lot of space, mostly space, and there are just some energies, you know, moving around, giving us a perception of solidity. So there is no difference between energy and matter. So everything we see in the field of objectification is materialism. Science can work only in this material field of knowledge. Vedanta's work in the non-material spiritual field. So there is a nice way to put it. There are two factors operating in the universe. One is matter and the other is the spirit. It goes right to the point. Matter and the spirit. And this spirit is not the soul of an individual. This is the spirit, is the intrinsic nature of all souls, of everything, which is God. Therefore, enlivened by which spiritual non-material principle this mind functions. Literally, patati means false. False means functions in the field of objects. So the mind is something very mysterious. It goes into the waking states and immediately see the world of objects. It has a little difficult to see itself, but if it makes a certain contemplation, it sees, it's the elements that, constitute the mind, all my feelings, my thoughts, my mood and everything. The mind, when it opens the body mind, when it opens its eyes and sees the physical and subtle world, it immediately, it sheds its light, it illumines and reveals the subtle and the physical material world. And then it means it falls. No, there is no way. It's going to contact the world and it's going to illuminate. All the objects are going to appear, through the mind. So what is this thing that is doing that to the mind, The mind is functioning, it's falling on everything that can be objectified. I'm only producing some sound here, the Swamiji says during the class. Scientifically speaking, There are some sound waves traveling here, and being captured by each one of the students there. So I'm only seeing your physical bodies. I do not see your mind, and I don't see these waves, traveling through the room to reach those phenomenal facts that occur in the subtle realm. I can only hope and pray that your mind is receiving it and understanding it. The mind is receiving it, but it may be occupied with something else. How often does that happen? Huh? For some people, more often than not. No? So I'm saying I can only hope and pray that the mind is receiving and grasping and understanding, assimilating. What makes this mind sentient? So as though the mind is forced by the Atma, is driven by the Atma, is living by the Atma, what makes this mind sentient? So the answer is there, is the Atma. The mind is going to function, due to this power source, will be blessed by this power source we call God, the self, or Atma. Enlivened by which spiritual principle? Now we have the term that this is a spiritual principle. There is spirit and matter mixing together in this universe. What is the name of that principle? And then it says here we call it God, Deva. Here itself, the word Deva is used to indicate that God is not someone sitting somewhere in the sky, but it's something that allows the miracle of life, allows the mind falling on all objects, and appearing as a sentient instrument of experience and knowledge. God in the Upanishad is a principle which is enlivening, pervading, and vivifying your body-mind. God is otherwise called the Atma, the self, that by which I say Aham. I know, I am, I exist, and I know that I exist. Ahamatma. Arjuna, do not search for God outside. He is sitting inside, said Lord Krishna. What is this God doing inside? It's make the miracle of life and living in this body so that I can shed my light of reflect consciousness and experience and know the world. And then we have the prana. The prana tattva, prayati, functions in the form of fivefold psychological systems. We know that the physical body is kept, alive through the pranas. Pranas is a very it's subtle, but it's more visible because you see someone who is in one's last moment. So sometimes people, to see if the prana has completely left the body, puts a small mirror, outside like that, and then you can verify, no, there is not even a small bit of prana still going in and out. Prana tattva is of a prana nature. This is what makes the body, the fivefold physiological autonomous systems work. What kind of prana? Pratamaha means the most important principle that makes the body dance and the mind sentient. Because only if prana is there, there is relevance for all sense organs. If there is no prana there, so the organs of the sense organs and the instruments of actions as well, and the ego, they are just without the most fundamental principle that allows the body mind to function. Huh? So it's relevant only if prana is present. Suppose prana left the body, the sense organs are there, but there is no use. Prana is considered to be the most important principle. Therefore, it's titled Pratamahad, the primordial prana principle. Without the sense organs, prana can exist. So now he brings an analysis here saying that somebody can go in a vegetative state in which the sense organs are no longer available. There is no means by which it can have any subtle experience, okay? And they can hook up the brain with some instrument and say, no, there is no mental activity revealing any experience here. The person is basically in a vegetative state, okay? But the pranas are still there. They're keeping, the system alive. There are some people, I think you guys heard of a very famous Formula One pilot, Schumacher, the German. I think he is hooked up to these machines for the past 10 years or more. 10 years or more. And the prana is still keeping the body, and then they fix it with some machines, hoping that one day he will come out of this coma. So you can even survive something like that, if your sense organ, without your sense organ, but without prana, forget it, Therefore, among all organs, prana is the most fundamental, You remember the chart of Ramji, you have the intellect, the mind, the ego, and then you have the pranas, and then you have the sense organs. So it's saying here that the prana is that which is alive, making the body mind alive and sentient, so that it can contact the world of objects through the sense organs. If you remove the prana, the body is dead. Swami says that recently in Prajna Upanishad, okay, second chapter, we had a very nice, elaborate story. Those who have studied this Prajna Upanishad will remember. Is the principle by which, because of which, what kind of principle? Kena says that Kena Ishitam Imam Vakam, the very teaching itself is taking place because of some spiritual principle. Everything happens within this spiritual principle. If there is no spiritual principle, conscious existence, there is nothing happen in terms of phenomenal world, anatma world. So the very teaching is happening here because of this spiritual principle. So, which even by which spiritual principle, because the student is listening. So what is the spiritual principle that allows the words of the teacher to reach the ears and the mind of the student? It's all, we all there soaked in conscious existence, the only reality, which is the spirit, the most invisible. It's said to be the most subtle of the subtle. It's even misleading to say that it's the most subtle. It's something beyond all pairs of opposites. What is this principle? So words fall short to describe. Finally, kakshuhu strotum. The ears of the ears. So by which power, by which principle the ears can hear? The eyes can see. What is that principle? All the functions of the body are blessed by this spirit, this principle, which is our true intrinsic nature. And then it says that prana is the most fundamental. We say that the body is enlivened by prana. And prana, of course, is not self-contained. It does not have the life of consciousness intrinsically. It is somehow inert as everything which is defined by attributes. So the prana is not the real deal here. Usually we say the body is alive because of the prana, the intelligent breaths, designed breaths that somehow know how to handle the 5 autonomous systems of the body mind. But this is a superficial answer that we give to junior students. The body is alive because of what? It's prana. Okay, prana left. Yes, it did left. Then let's get rid of the body. When the prana goes, the body is dead. And then he says something very nice. We should try this expression when somebody gives trouble for you in India, and then you say, "Don't give me much trouble, so do not take my prana here, Don't kill me, Please give me a break." Therefore, the superficial answer is the prana. As long as prana is there, the body will be alive. When the prana goes, the body will be dead. Therefore, prana is what gives life to the body. Is the answer that we present in the Karma Kanda of the Vedas for junior students. Prana enlivens the body. In the Veda Purva Bhaga given. But if a person is a Vedantine or a senior student, our answer goes one step further. So what is the last step? Last step, it's a very dangerous step because we know it's a huge shortcut that a lot of people in the New Age, New Age White spiritual circles make use of it and take advantage. The last step is there is no body, there is no prana, there is nothing, there is only Brahman, of course. But the second step here is to say that the body, no doubt, is enlivened by prana, but even prana does not have life of its own. Prana is just subtle matter, very intelligently, incredibly. It's unbelievable to imagine that a certain air can be programmed and designed to run independent systems in our body. It's mind-blowing, The people who are challenging God with artificial intelligence, they are so stupid. But anyhow, prana is only matter. It is by nature inert. Therefore, the body is enlivened by prana. Prana itself is enlivened by another principle. Now the student is asking for, what is this principle which enlivens prana? That's why in Kenopanishad, Yamadharma Raja says, "Na premana na panema matyo jivati ta 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 ta." Let's see if we have the translation here. Or my dear, my disciple, do not think the body is alive because of prana. Remember, prana itself is alive because of the Atma, the nature of the self. So there is a warning there for more advanced students. Say, don't believe that the body is alive just because of prana. It is that Atma, the spirit, the student wants to know. But the problem, as we know it, this Atma cannot be objectified, does not have any attributes. It's a flux of continuously change. There is a beginning, a middle, and an end. And then one day, poof, everything that appears disappears. It's bound by time. So how are you going to start thing that does not fall in anything that could be really, objectively investigate and known? So that's the problem with self-knowledge and self-inquiry in the light of the teachings of the Upanishads. So people, they go crazy. Again, I have that friend of mine from California, going crazy. Write me long things that I don't even read completely to prove, that maybe you are fixated with this Upanishad Vedanta thing. There is so much more. Look at my knowledge. Just confusion, mix up, copy and paste. Total confusion, and you know so little. You only talk about these Upanishad things. There are so many teachings, They don't know that it is just in the culinary industry, there is a term that people invented in the past decades, which is fusion culinary. Have you heard about that? Fusion. It's a mixture of different traditions, cooking tradition, I know that because when we went to the United States, after trying to make a living with selling wine, we opened an Italian restaurant, and it was possibly the most traditional Italian restaurant in all of the United States. Somehow we decided to do it that way. No compromise, only the most traditional recipes, exactly how they are. Oh, well, what is this? What is that? Where is my, Caesar salad? Where is my, I said, no, this is a traditional. You don't need to take a plane and go to Italy. You can come to Basilico and have a traditional experience. So some people said, you're not going to make it, but somehow slowly we found our public. So they call the restaurants around that fusion. Fusion is superior because you take a little bit of everything, or you can make a ravioli of black beans. Oh, black beans ravioli, give me a break, So there is this fusion of confusion. We call it confusion. And people, they cannot see the simple truth. There is something which is the spirit behind matter. Don't be distracted trying to understand this world of phenomenal objects, even if it is very subtle, even if it is esoteric or mystical. Don't go there. Just look for the fundamental true nature, which is the spirit. Everything is sustained by this spirit. The spirit is the distance on which all these realms of apparent reality is supported for a period of time. Is the Atma. And the student, the very rare students want to know this Atma. Most of them get caught up with phenomenal objects, trying to find the Atma. They get distracted on some phenomenal areas of knowledge, mystical, esoteric, and so on, interdimensional. So what is its Atma that can never be known directly, having been outside of the realm of time and space with no attributes, not subject to change, arrival and departure, and so on. So it's the most intelligent investigation, the most intelligent inquiry. So I want to understand this Atma. It is intriguing to me. How I'm going to know something that cannot be objectified and known that in that way? What is this spiritual principle which enlivens the prana, the entire subtle body, and the material physical body? What is this spiritual principle, which is totally free and independent from the physical and the subtle body? Now the teacher is going to begin answering. The entire rest of the Upanishad is answer to this question. So let's see the number 2. I think I still I have to revise and correct this because I still have the translations of the first one you sent to me. Is the year of the year, but this one may be more or less similar to the last one you sent to me. Is the year of the year, the mind of the mind, the tongue of the tongue, the life of the life, the eye of the eye is a big one as well. Being disabused of false notions, the wise students having left this body, attains its immortal nature. And according to the scriptures, they are not going to require another birth because you need to be self-ignorant to ask for another birth. That's the point here. But can you read for us the version you have there, please? Lynn?
The teacher replied, "It is the ear of the ear, the mind of the mind, the speech of the speech, the life of the life, and the eye of the eye. Having detached the self from the sense organs and renounced the world, the wise attain immortality."
Very beautiful. Very beautiful. Very, very nice. I have to correct that and I have the proper translation. So that is an answer that basically the entire canon is comprised. In one profound mantra, it says something which is a pointer, of course. It's a pointer. It does not give much substance for anybody to hold on to those words, but those words, they have the power if contemplated in a certain way, meditate upon in a certain way, to reveal that which is the spirit that has no attributes, qualities, or properties, and can only be known as your true self. So that is the purpose of these teachings. So this is the essence of all Upanishads. There will be other mantras later on, but this is the sense, is a definition of the Atma, and as always, it is negating the anathema, saying it's not this, it's not that, it's not that, it's something which is behind all of this, as if it is the eye of the eye, the ear of the ear, the mind of the mind. You could say, no, it's the consciousness behind the ears, the sight, the tongue, and so on. But I love this description of this Upanishad because there is an ear before the ear, beyond the ear, the eye, beyond the eye. So the rest of this canon is going to not only elaborate on this definition of the Atma, but it's going to talk about the nature of jnana and the benefits of self-knowledge. 3 topics now. The nature of this Atma. So the nature of Atma jnana, okay, what is self-knowledge and what is the fruit, so the benefit of self-knowledge. So it's a very small, simple, but very profound. We can have great fun with this canon. Now, what is the sense of this answer? Again, I have to give an introduction. We can guess the answer to some extent. The principle which enlivens the body cannot be material, of course. So we have to just negate everything that was said before in regards to the world of matter/energy. If we said that it can be objectified, so we can say, no, this Atma, which is the mind of the mind, is not a material principle. It does not change. It does not have any one of those M-O-M-C-T. One conscious principle cannot make one achetanam. One inert principle cannot make another principle sentient. Therefore, if the entire anathema world is inert, none of that can borrow, can make, a different aspect of itself sentient. And it goes for the prana. Prana does not have consciousness on its own, sentience on its own. It can never really be responsible for alone the sentience of the physical, the body, mind, sense complex. The prana is blessed by consciousness. So none of these, the sense organ, they appear to be sentient. The mind with its thoughts appears to have sentience, but no, it's not. It's all inert, So all these functions that begins with the prana and it goes to become the 5 sense organs, the five organs of actions, and then the mind, the intellect, and the ego, all of that is there only due to consciousness, this Chaitanya principle, which is absolutely not from the material world. It's not a material principle. It must have certain features which we can somehow describe. Yes, they have some features, and you just have to diagonally opposite to those of the material principle. So this spiritual God-like principle, God principle, is opposite of the 5 definitions of matter. Okay, so you can say, okay, the world, material, anatma world, is OMSCT, and the Satya spirit is non-OMACT. Very simple. You need not to do anything else. Just put a non, not this, net. Okay, what is it then? How we can address this principle that does not have any aspect besides Satchitananda, conscious existence? Okay, so how are we going to come to it? How are we going to do this investigation? How can I study it? It's not an object of knowledge. So if it's not an object of knowledge, how can I know that? Oh my God, this is a big one. Okay, the entire effort in this process of self seeking or self investigation, it again and again it falls for this profound tendency of looking for it in an objective way. Okay, as something other than myself. That is the most subtle and the most persisting obstacle. Even when you hear, cannot be objectified, you are still the mind and its habits of objectification will try to find it in a certain mystical state or experience or realm. It's always superimpose these subtle objects of experience because it cannot just stop this most fundamental tendency of objectification, understand? When you look for reality. So that spiritual principle cannot be objectified. How are you going to search for that? It's big. Therefore, this spiritual principle can only be what? The subject. Okay. For any knowledge to take place, you need a subject and the object. Okay, and this spirit, this consciousness is the subject. Now it's a piece of cake. I know the subject. I am the subject. So, and then we get into a different trouble. So, what is your concept of I am? What is this I? What is this I referring to? It refers to the mind or to the intellect. No, that also is an object of knowledge. You understand? So it cannot be objectified. How am I going to go about doing this inquiry? You need the Upanishads. We need these teachings that are going to guide us slowly but surely, until the most simple and obvious thing comes, which is the I, the true I, the I behind the I is another beautiful one, you know. So what is the I? The aham behind the aham is not the mind. The spiritual principle is the true subject, which is not the mind, which is pure, limitless, non-dual, eternal consciousness. And everything happens within consciousness. All objects are just superimposed upon consciousness. Consciousness is this spiritual principle, and it's the only subject. This spiritual principle has to be the subject, which is consciousness. Of what? Of all inert objects. Therefore, the first feature is what? It's this spirit is not an object, but it is the absolute subject. So when we talk about the subject, becomes very, very subtle, you know, because if I look at Lynn, I say, no, forgive me, Lynn, with all respect, I am the subject and you an object. Why? Because you appearing to me. And then she said, no, 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 I am the subject and you an object because you appearing to me as an object, a person. So what is this true spiritual principle, the true absolute subject? So that's the purpose of the eye, the mind of the mind, this strange sort of investigation that so rare, very few people appreciate. They believe. The last thing that this friend of mine wrote is almost like as if the whole process of the Upanishad seems to be a mental kind of masturbation, you know. People they don't get that. They you know, they don't have the subtlety to see the depths, the beauty, and the revelations behind all of this, you know. This subject must be something else rather than the mind. The mind is inert matter. How so? Because the mind is changed. You remember, one of the definitions, the mind is defined by its thoughts and notions, ideas and feelings, and it's a flux of change. So there is something that does not change, which that behind the mind, that can be said the mind of the mind. It is the consciousness principle. So what was the second feature of the world, of the definition of the material world? Which is, it is material by nature. Therefore, this spiritual principle, which cannot be objectified, does not fall in the category of objects of knowledge. It's no matter. It's no subtle matter. It's not dense matter. What is the mind? The mind is subtle energy, subtle matter. The mind is material. Consciousness is no material. Consciousness is neither matter nor energy. And then Swamiji now reminds us of this common tendency. Most people think consciousness is a form of energy. They are trying to look to the God, or the God particle in the phenomenal world as if it is a very, very subtle energy. So no, no, no. Consciousness is not matter, means it's not energy as well, because energy is, after all, what? It's matter, you know, in a subtle expression of itself. It's transformed from matter only. Matter and energy are interconvertible based on the equation energy equal mc squared. So you have energy and we have matter, and then we have c for speed of light, square. And if you want to go into that, you need to study. But we get a hint of it. You know, there is a relationship between energy and matter that indicates clearly that they are very closely associated. They are both meteor phenomena, appearing as, you know, almost invisible energies or particles or solid matter, depending on the instruments of perception. When we look through our physical instrument, we just see solid matter. But when we use some instruments of science, we're going to see that my perception, my eyes, through those instruments, I see that matter is not really matter. It sometimes behaves as particles, very tiny, sometimes as just waves of energy. So what is the difference between matter and energy? Just study this. It is E equal mc squared, and we're going to understand the relationship. But basically, matter and energy are both inert. That's what counts to us. Therefore, is consciousness matter? No. Is consciousness energy? Must be energy? No, it's not. Then what it is? Then you can just say it's consciousness. Period. It's not material and it's a non-energy principle. So if it's no energy principle, so what is the fun of looking for something that has no attribute? There is no material or subtle attributes, you know? So why I want to know consciousness is something so abstract, so, you know, there is nothing, there is no quality, no attribute, not even subtle attributes can land on that which is consciousness according to the scripture. So why I want to know consciousness? There's nothing to it, isn't it? It truly appears that way to the people. You know, I got this long letter from this guy pointing that direction, you know. We are just crazy people. You know, there is so much knowledge there in the field of the subtle, mystical circles of states and so on. It's no material. It's no energy. And it is free from qualities, properties, and attributes. Oh my God, it's getting even more boring now. There is nothing we can say, wow, I like it because of that. You know, oh, I like it because it has a nice nose. You know, no, you cannot say anything about the spirit. God, the Atma, must be what? In Kenopanishad, Yama Dharma Raja will say, Asa Badam, a person, Atma does not have any one of these 5 features, okay? Atma does not have any of these 5. Therefore, it is nirguna. So the 5 features we know we can get it by anything that makes an object. It's material, a subtle material. It has attributes, it changes, and it appears and disappears. Everything in this meteor phenomenal world is changing, is a passing show, is matter, energy. Consciousness, which is neither matter nor energy, does not go change. So what the heck is this consciousness and why? What compels me to want to know this? I mean, this is an important question as well, because when you present the teachings of the Upanishad, you say, what is there for me? You know? What is there? There's nothing there for me. Isn't it, Mark? It sounds like that way as well, huh? What is in there?
Well, I remember many, many years ago, I remember asking my brother, I said, where am I when my body is lying dead on the floor? And this was like 20 or 30 years ago. I asked him this question: who am I if my body can just die and be lying there?
Mm.
What am I? So, you know, that yearning is in the human soul to find ourselves.
Absolutely, spiritual vasana that we brought with us. I want to find something which is beyond OMACT, beyond the temporality imposed by everything that's created, must be destroyed. We want to understand our true nature. We don't like the limitations of the time, you know. Time is the biggest thing we unconsciously, human beings do not accept. And how they deal with this problem of time, which is everything is impermanent, appears and dies to disappear. So they push it below the rag. You know, nobody likes to talk about the death. It's a myth, you know. And then when you're a little bit more mature, you deal with it on different levels. But it is irritating for most people unless they have a certain knowledge, a certain maturity. You without self-knowledge, you can come to the maturity to accept this law that anything that appears must die. Yeah? Creation and destruction. You believe in God, you believe God is going to make another instrument for you, so you are good, you accept, you're a mature individual. But some individual, they go beyond and they want to know what is the true nature of Ishvara Jiva Jagat, because they heard that that is the essential inherent nature of the Jiva Atma, and it is beyond time, it's beyond mortality, birth and death. So some of us want to find this eternal principle, and we don't even know exactly where we brought it from, but from past births in which we develop these spiritual tendencies, you know. Very good. I am this non-changing witness conscious principle, witnessing all the change of what? Of the body, of the mind, and of the world, changing very fast these days. I don't change, and I don't have a beginning and an end. So another feature is eternal, beginningless consciousness. No, it's very difficult for us to conceptualize something that has no beginning, because everything that has a beginning has an end. No? So I am that adhisthana, that ground of conscious being in which time and space projects these changing phenomenal worlds, all of them constituted by the gunas of Maya. What is the final one T? Temporality. Everything is impermanent. That is available in one lifetime. Waker's universe is available in the wake state. Okay, so we're gonna enjoy more of it from tomorrow. Let me make a mark here. Okay. Anything from you? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishate Om Shanti 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 Om. Mark, this is a nice exchange, you know, what you said as well at the end, because I can see people, they find much more excitement in a spiritual search that's not really the search for the spirit, but it's a search for phenomenal, subtle levels of duality, you know, and they want that. They want that. They want something that can have a texture to it, you know, some quality, some, you know, experiential value, People want some punya, on some sort of punya in different realms or levels or lokas. But very rarely some people appear who want to know this eternal principle. No, I'm not interested in punya anymore. I'm not interested in anything. I want to know the true nature of the self, the Atma, of God. Yeah. Very rare. No wonder we are only the four of us here. Huh?
Well, it never occurred to me before, Arlindo, but I asked the wrong person. I should have asked you.
Say it again, please.
I said, it never occurred to me before, but I asked the wrong person. I should have asked you or James or Swami Paramahansananda.
Okay. Oh, I see. Mhm. Okay, we meet again tomorrow. Namaste. Thank you. Love you. Till tomorrow.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye now.